The Soldano SLO100, arguably the best high-gain amp in the world. Since the beginning of time, everybody has been trying to recreate this amp. So today, my friend, I give you a Kill Battle. I'm Jorge Lanzas, and now we break it down, baby. Yep, you guessed it. I'm sick again, but the show must go on. Alright, thank you so much for being here once again. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm sick again. That's the problem when you have little kids going to school. You get a little pest every single time. But again, my voice is my problem because I tend to be a little bit too loud. But whatever, I don't want to bore you with my life. Let's get to what we're here to do. We're here in Pro Tools and we have Soldano SLO100X and the SLD100 from Amplitube. Some people might say this is unfair because the Amplitube version is free and old. And the Neural DSP version cost some money and they just released the new update making it better than ever. So yeah, it might be a little bit unfair, but I honestly think that they should both do a good job. So why don't we go check it out and see what's up. First and foremost, I want to say that I really love what Neural DSP is doing with these amps and the skins and stuff like that. Every time they do something like, for example, the Tone King, or when it's just like one amp, you can change the skins. And I was like dumb and I didn't do it when I did the review, but look at this. This is just the regular one, right? Simple black Tolex. But then I found this purple Tolex that I really loved. And then a snake Tolex. It looks great. I honestly give some value to that because I feel like when you work making music every single day, everything that makes your day a little bit better by just like looking a little bit more fun or whatever it is to capture your attention to make you make more music, I think that's a great thing. So kudos to them because I feel like nobody's really paying attention to that kind of stuff like they do. And on the other hand, we have the Amplitude version that pretty much looks good, but honestly, it does look like a light version, right? Like it almost looks like a small amp. This looks like a bigger amp. And then we can see that the arrangement of the knobs and the switches is a little bit different. And of course, the big elephant in the room, the depth section in the Soldano SLE100X by Neural DSP. From now on, I'm just going to say Neural and IK because I don't want to be saying all that. So yeah, like I was saying, that Neural DSP has that depth knob. So I'm really happy that they did that. But whatever, let's stop talking about these kind of things and let's just check what we did in the back end because I did have to change a few things. For example, there's a 57 and a 421 because that's what they're using here in the Soldano. But maybe for the test, I'm going to shut them down and just use the 57 so we can just like narrowly focus on that. But of course, I want to hear the amps the way they sound, right? But yeah, so that's the only thing I changed. Everything else is just like default. Now, I'll stop the talking, get to the rocking, and grab a guitar. Yep. You guessed it. Jorge brought his PRS again. I know I use this guitar a lot. All right, so let's see. What do we start with? Let's start with the Soldano from Neural because I feel like that's better. And honestly, I want to say that this is not going to be like a scientific comparison because I already know that these amps sound nothing like one another. Not only in this case particularly, but every time I check Neural DSP and Amplitude when they do something similar, it's always so wildly different that I'm not even getting my hopes up right now. And you shouldn't either. I don't think this is going to sound anything like it, but whatever. Let's see what happens when I select Neural DSP and I hit this E. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's now try Amplitude. Okay, boom, first thing. We need a noise gate. Let's put one in. Mostly because the Neural DSP has no noise, right? So I want to compare apples to apples. All right, but here we are. Now let's hear Amplitude. It's like a little bit of like a squelch in the back end, right? Almost like if something is like loose there, that I didn't get that in the Soldano at all. Let's hear it. Also, the Soldano sounds like tighter. This Amplitude one sounds like a little bit bigger. But see, you hear that squelchy thing? and then here to the neural. They couldn't be more different. It's like the mid-range is different, the low end is different, the size feels different. Almost like we're comparing a combo with a cabinet and we're not. And if you're listening in a good environment, which I always recommend, I feel like there's sort of like this perception that the neural version has a little bit of like a more contained sound. Like it's tighter in the sense that has less bottom end and less high end, but a lot of more focus in the mid-range and a big pokey, like, I don't know, 1K that just comes straight out your nose. Let's hear that. But yeah, there's no aliasing. It's like, I think it's definitely a better capture. I don't know, like they spent more time or whatever, like technology has gotten a lot better probably in the last few years. Feels like the Amplitube has a little more of a natural sustain. Let's hear the neural now. Let's go back to Amplitube. Yeah, definitely too different of a sound. Let's see if we start like taking variables out. Let's mute the 421s in both. Now let's hear it. That sounds really, really nice. But actually, let me get level here in my speakers. Yeah, so different, so different. Like it's like absolutely two different amps. Nothing similar about them at all. This is so complicated, right? Like when you hear them back to back, it's like you think certain things when you hear it the first time, and then you compare it with the other one, and then your thoughts start crossing a little bit because the differences are so huge. I don't even know what to say about that. Like I feel like that sounds really nice. And then this. Everything that I said in the beginning when we had both microphones, it's kind of like canceled out. And now the 57 in the Neural DSP version has like a lot of really deep end and like a lot of high end and not too much mid range. Like I feel like the Neural DSP has way too much bottom end to be a 57 in my head. But then the Soldano in the Amplitube version sounds like actually a 57 in a cab. If you mic the cab, you know what I'm talking about. There's sort of like that pokey mid-range on a 57. Like that sounds instantly to me like an amp. Except with the little alien scene artifact that we're listening to. Which is a lot less apparent now that I took the 421 out. But let's hear this. And then levels are so different. Let me turn up the neural DSP and see what happens. That's more similar. But again, it's just like it's so front, that sound of the Amplitube version.
Crazy.
Honestly, to me, it sounds so different. This is incredible. I like them both for different reasons, but let's see if we can match the settings a little bit. Because, okay, what would we have here? Bright and crunch, overdrive and overdrive, and then the preamps are on 7, the bass, it's 7, middle on 7. I love that about the neural DSP one. Everything on 7. And then treble on 7. Guess what? 7. And then presence on 7. And I don't have depth. I almost say, wow, that sounds a lot more like the neural. It sounds nothing like the neural at all. In my opinion, right now, just because of quality alone, I think I like the Soldano a little bit better. It sounds a little bit more refined to me. Almost sounds like it has a pedal in front of it. And this is just so loud. I feel like it's got way too much mid-range. Let's turn it down a little bit. Oh, what I didn't check is the master. We're so loud here. Okay, let's turn this back down then. Now that we have that. I wish you would have told me. Oh, but this is not live. Make sure you catch me in one of my lives when I do this kind of stuff so we can have a little bit more fun. But for now, let me know what you think of this plugin in the comment section. And while you're there, remember to like, subscribe, and do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube. And enjoy this bossa nova, my friend. Hope you're having a great day, and then it's getting better and better. All right, let's keep going. It's very, very different, incredible. But let's see now that we have the masters at the same level, see what happens. Yeah, I keep hearing that aliasing on the Amplitube. It's just like a digital squelch, like a I feel like it's a lot more dampened on the neural. I mean, you can play with both. They're both fine. And sorry, my guitar feels a little bit out of tune, but I'm not going to stop right now. I love how metal it sounds. It's funny because this sounds like, I don't know, like a modern band, and this sounds like an older band, right? Like imagine like, I don't know, with the Amplitude version, it sounds more like Cannibal Corpse, right? And then you hear the Soldano. And it sounds like, I don't know, like a Silent Dying or something, right? That's hilarious when you put it like that. And the fact that that one is old and this one's new. Of course, they're modeling different amplifiers and everything.
What?
This doesn't feel like Soldano to me. Like, if you tell me that one is a Soldano and the other one is not, I believe you 100%. And if you tell me that they both are the same, I would not believe you. Right now, I feel like maybe this, it's closer to what a Soldano might be, just because that distortion is like so characteristic. And I'm going to butcher a little bit of Van Halen because that's what I think about when I think of Soldano. But overall, I feel like maybe, yeah, the neural DSP sounds more like Soldano. And I want to say like that, the Amplitude version sounds more like a Diesel or like an Uber shell, like a Wagner Uber shell or something like that, right? All right, let's try to see this. Play some Van Halen and see what happens. I don't know. You tell me in the comments, what do you think? I don't know, let's get rid of this guitar and have a few conclusions. All right, so there you go, SLO100, both great companies, IK and Neural. If you ask me, I want to say that maybe the Neural DSP sounds better, with one caveat. I feel like the Neural DSP is just like, maybe it feels to me like when they recorded that amp, they captured it maybe with like EQ in the console or in the preamps or anything like that, because it sounds like they scooped some mid-range. Let me know what you think, and if your ear tells you the same. I feel like they scooped some mid-range out of the amp, so we're not just hearing the amp raw the way it is. But again, I might be wrong, because amps sound so different all the time. But that's what it feels like to me, because that mid-range that I hear in the Amplitude version feels like more like a normal amp. When you put a microphone in an amp, that's kind of like what it sounds like, with that excessive mid-range. And that's why you see like mixers for years and years and years have been like scooping mid-range out to get the great guitar sounds. It's almost like a joke that every rock record is basically just take away all the mid-range and you're good. And I know that a lot of bands take that to the extreme, but honestly, working with mid-range is really, really, really hard. And only the very, very few professionals that really do it a lot get that thing right. It's really, really, really hard to get mid-range right. So having said all that, I feel like they are so different that I cannot even tell you that one is better than the other in like a sound way or like a feel. They both feel the same, to be honest, when I play it. I feel like maybe the Neural DSP allows me to play maybe softer, because it just gives me enough like gain and distortion, and I feel like a little bit more of a reward, if that's something, when I'm playing. But I feel like the realism and like sort of like the bigness that the Amplitude version has. Okay, let me put it this way. Imagine there's like a rock. It could be marble, quartz, whatever you want to call it. In the Neural DSP version, it sounds like very carved, and like they already are doing a sculpture with it. And in the Amplitude version, it just feels like that rock is just like the lump of rock there. You have to do all the work if you want to make it sound good. And I feel like in the quality department, you can definitely feel that the Neural DSP version, it's like superior in ways. Even if you prefer the sound of the Amplitude, which you may, I don't know, but the quality of the Neural DSP right now feels like higher. And it makes sense, because Amplitude hasn't released anything for too long. So if anybody in IQ Multimedia has been watching my videos, please do something new with Amplitude. We're going crazy. And if there's going to be any beta program or whatever for IK Multimedia for the new Amplitude 6, sign me in. I'm your guy. Ask anybody on the internet. I'm the guy doing Amplitude videos right now. Come on. Okay, I've talked too much, my friends, and I'm starting to feel a little bit strained. But it was a lot of fun to be here with you and present you these two amps. And if you want to watch more videos, just click on this one right here, and I'll wait for you right there, my friend. Thank you so much for being here again and coping with my horrible voice.